Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and thank you for being in Soul Talk. And today, let me present you with Shalani. I hope I try to even to not do mistakes with this last name, with this name. Do I say it right, Shalani?
Shalini, you got it. You're close.
Got it right. Sorry, guys, about that. And let me tell you, she is a certified trauma-informed yoga and meditation instructor. But also, she was just telling me that she just finished a nutrition certification too. Right, right.
So the yoga, meditation, breath work, and I just recently finished my health coach
Okay,
certification. Yeah.
perfect. Tell us a little bit about what do you do and how you got here actually in your present life.
Sure. I think, it's a long journey, but I'm sure I'm happy to go, rewind a bit, just from kind of when I landed here in the United States. So I came here when I was 19 as an immigrant. And, I think from that time on, again, I came in from a very conservative Asian Indian background. So it was pretty unusual, for my parents to send, at that young age across the world, so far away. But I think for me, big motivation and I would say inspiration in my life was my mom because, she was well educated. I mean, those days, given women didn't quite have the opportunity, she still got, her degree, all of it. Very smart, but she never had the opportunity to go work because, it was all about just stay home, take care of the kids, raise the family, the expanded family, things like that. So she never really had that opportunity, but she knew that she definitely didn't want me to, be the same. She wanted me to be, independent, just every way, right? Like financially, everything. So I'm kind of standing up for myself. And so I would say she was a big inspiration in, just saying and convincing my dad to actually let me, come here and figure out my life. So I came here when I was 19. I just came with two suitcases. I just had a dream. I knew I had to, just work hard. I had to, figure out myself here and study well and do all of that. And fast forward, I mean, I did my bachelor's, I did my master's, and then I got married. I moved to Seattle because my husband was here. And so I moved here, and I would say, I've lived here for about 21 years. So this is home, the longest I've ever lived in one place, I would say. And along the journey, I have two lovely girls. My older one is now in college. My younger one is 11th grade, so almost there. And I've always been in the tech world. I mean, that's really where my corporate career has been over the 20 years. And I would say the wellness journey began, gosh, a little over 10 years ago, maybe, where, a friend of mine, again, I was being a mom, I was working full time, and my spouse used to travel quite a bit for work. So I think I was really trying to figure out that balance. Well, I should say I didn't know what was balance, but I was trying to figure out what all of that meant because it was pretty overwhelming. I mean, with young children and trying to do all of this. And so a friend of mine I remember told me, hey, you should come try out this yoga class. And, I just went with her. Trust me, it took a while for me to get used to all of it. But I don't know, I think a period of 6 months or maybe even close to a year, I felt like something stuck with me, like something resonated with that yoga, with that breath work, with that meditation. I felt like I could control my emotions in a much better way. So I felt like I was a better parent, a better mom at home with the young kids. And even at work, I felt like, yes, of course, there was frustration, there was anxiety, all of it, but I felt like I could control all of that a little better. And so I think that's how my journey with, this whole holistic wellness and what does it mean to look at everything in life just beyond, just your work or just home. But how do you bring that whole lifestyle, if you will, of holistic wellness into one piece, I would say, was really where I think my exploration and self-discovery began, honestly. And then I got certified, etc. And so I've been teaching, coaching, all of that over the years. Taught over 100 people, but that's really, I would say, a nutshell, my journey.
Wow. That is pretty similar as the Mexican culture where I come from.
Cool.
We have the same values and the same ways in a way. And that take me to a question that I have for you, that even as a woman, that now we're not following the traditions of our families or culture that we come from, and having that balance of being who you are now and being a mom and have a corporate job and also become a coach and yoga teacher and all these things that you do.
Exactly. Yep.
How do you balance everything? Because you're also a wife, and that people do not have all this
Yep.
do
Yep.
not understand that how hard it is to balance everything and have everybody happy in a way and feel yourself happy.
Yes. Yes. You know what? I will say it's a journey I'm still discovering. It's not like, I know it all, right? Absolutely not. But I feel like what has personally helped me along all of this, is I feel number one is setting your boundaries, right? And whether that's at work or at home, but saying there are certain blocks of time, you're going to be engaged in certain things. I feel like that's very important. And I mean, I'm guilty of this many times too, because as a woman, right, we don't do that often, right? We do not set space for self-care. We do not set space for, all right, at this time I'm going to be with my kids, or this is family time. And even if I have like, social time on the weekends, I know I try to kind of keep all of that in balance, right? So like you don't go overboard because you're still trying to prioritize all those other things. So for me personally, I feel setting those boundaries was so important. And that's probably really what helped me. And I would say the second thing was being organized. I just feel that's what I do at work because I am a program manager, I'm a project manager. So I do that at work. So I have to be organized. So I think for me, that's a very important skill set. And I know a lot of people struggle with that because I feel like that's where they're like, they get anxious, right? They get overwhelmed. Oh my God, I need to do 20 different things. I can never get done with my checklist, right? So I feel like that organization really helped me. And there are different ways people do this, right? And I mean, what works for each person. But for me, it would probably just be as simple as, just notes on my phone. But I would know, all right, this weekend, here are my 10 things I need to finish, right? And during the weekday, I always have, this time, like the first thing in the morning, I have my time for, I call it mindfulness. But even if that's 10 minutes, it's almost for me, that's like brushing my teeth. It's just in meditation or breath work or something, right? That starts your day where you're not on your phone, you're, in this digital detox mode, and you're not already checking emails because all those distractions, right? And once you get on your phone, there's probably another 100 things that are going to get to your head, right? So for me, that's another thing. So I always try to start my day with that mindfulness, right? Consciously. And even if that's 10, 15 minutes in the day. So that's, again, another important thing that has helped me prioritize or at least find that time right in the morning. Because I feel like if you don't find that at the beginning of your day, the day just gets so busy and then there's no time, right? So for me, that was another thing that helped. And I also, like this concept called micro mindfulness, because not all of us can find 15 minutes or half an hour or an hour, especially when you have young kids or you're balancing so many other things. So I feel with micro mindfulness, even when you're at work, right? Maybe between meetings, you're taking a 5-minute break. You're just consciously taking a few breaths, or you're just closing your eyes. You're just trying to be in that state of calm. You're trying to disconnect from all of this noise around you. So to me, practicing those micro mindfulness moments, even during the day, between 5, 10 minutes, whatever, between meetings, things like that, I've always felt makes a difference. So I mean, there's so many different ways to think about this, but at least those were some of the things that come to, just top of my head. But it's also a support network, right? I mean, like, again, as women, I talked about prioritizing self-care. I feel another thing is that support network, right? I mean, what energizes you? I think that's an important question. And
Hmm.
I know a lot of people are probably introverts. They feel like they don't need a support network. Maybe they don't feel like, talking to other people are going to energize them. Maybe that's not them, right? But maybe there's something else for you. What is that? I mean, is it a dance class? Is it a Zumba class? Is it Pilates? Is it yoga? Like, whatever that is for you, but find something that energizes you, that motivates you. Because to me, that's what's helped me keep up with all of my goals and what I want to do, right? Because parenting, okay, I already signed up. There's no backing off, right? Even if that's difficult, even if there have been days I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I don't have a choice. I have to be that. I have to be the mom, right? I have to do certain things. So, work, yep, part of it, I have to do it. Everything else, I feel, becomes optional, right? At least for me, it was. And of course, there's the cooking and, managing home, all of these things. So I always feel like there is this balance between certain things that are non-negotiable, and then there are certain things where I think is non-negotiable, like self-care and prioritizing, to me, is non-negotiable. But for a lot of women that I talk to and I coach, a lot of them, they don't even think about it because they're so overwhelmed in just raising children or thinking about them that they don't even think about themselves. That's not even part of their priority.
Okay, let me just take you
Yeah,
back a little bit for
yeah,
something that you said.
sure.
I would like to talk more about mindfulness and the
Yeah,
beginning of
yeah.
it. Because the majority, I teach this to many people, and they
Mhm.
do not comprehend that, like you mentioned, that if you don't do it in the morning, you're not going to do it in the rest of the day. And then you're going to postpone it until
Yeah.
you're going to forget to actually do it.
Hmm.
But what it is for you and for our viewers, for you, because I have
Sure.
talked with different people and everybody has a different definition of mindfulness.
Hmm.
So let's define for you what it is mindfulness.
Got it. So for me, mindfulness is just being present in the moment and controlling what I can control. That's what to me is mindfulness. So I know, for example, I'm just walking through an example where, one of my clients came to me, right, with this challenge, which is, oh my gosh, I try to sit down, I try to close my eyes, but I have like 50 different thoughts. I have like so many things that I'm not able to sit. I'm not able to close my eyes. And is that mindfulness? Is that meditation? I don't think I can do it. Right. So that was one of the questions I actually got from one of my clients before we, started working through this whole journey. Right. And to me, what I say is mindfulness or meditation is not just closing your eyes. Yes, that's one part of it. And you know why that's one part of it? Because when we close our eyes, we are shutting ourselves down from any other distractions that our eyes will distract us from before it goes inwards. That's all it's doing, right? It's not like, oh my God, if I can't close my eyes and just sit there, I cannot meditate. That's not what it is, right? I mean, that's the first thing I like to clear, at least from my perspective, is that's not really what is mindfulness or meditation. Because I could literally be just talking to you right now and I'm practicing mindfulness because I'm here right now. I'm
In the
here with Monica. I'm here talking about this, right?
That's the people that do not understand that. I have even heard people it's like, oh, being present in the present moment, it is not important. That's what it is, the more important thing. Having a conversation like right now, or you're washing dishes, or putting makeup, or
Yeah.
cooking, or whatever you're doing. I don't care what it is.
Hmm.
Being there present.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's what's more important.
Yes.
And yes, I agree with you. There are thousands of ways of meditate.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times when okay, I have too many things in my head. I know sitting down for a half an hour is not gonna work for me because I'm gonna be thinking in thousand things like your client. But that's when I go, okay, I need to focus and ground myself. So I go to the garden
Yeah.
and it's about to take weeds. Okay, let's take weeds and just be present taking the weeds for 15 minutes. or 30 minutes or whatever time I put myself into just doing that.
Yep.
That time, it is a meditation. Breathing, like you do breath work, it is a meditation. There are thousands of ways that you can achieve having that time. Whatever time you want to put, 5 minutes, an hour, I
Hmm.
don't care. But it is being present in that. That's so important.
Exactly. Yep, totally agree. I just feel like there's different techniques, different mechanisms, what works for each person, right? So there's so many ways to think about it. But again, like for example, with breath work, you don't really need anything. You just need yourself. You just need your mindset. You just want to be willing to experiment and do something, right, with your body, and you want to connect more inwards. Same thing with meditation or mindfulness. It doesn't need anything. All it needs is your willingness to center yourself, to just bring yourself here. There's really nothing much to it. And
Yes.
we do different things just to help people get to that place. Because it's not easy to just close your eyes and sit there for half an hour, right? It's not going to work. So then how do you break it down? How do you then go to those micro mindfulness moments? Maybe you start with 3 minutes, maybe you start with 2 minutes, right? And that's why breath work is also another easy way to connect within, because you are seated in one place. To me, at least, this is how I think about it, is breath work is almost the simplest form of meditation because it's on your path to meditative state. Because when you slowly start practicing breath work over time, you're able to sit in a place. You're able to sit with your breath. So that's
Yes.
meditation. I mean, that's, I would say, the simplest way to at least start meditation.
And for the people that are listening, and you said, "Well, breath work, yes, unless you go to a place and so forth." It is everybody breathes every day, or else we would not be here. The thing is, do it consciously. That's what it
Oh,
makes sense.
yes.
That
Yes.
is a breath work, and there are thousands of techniques, different kinds of breathing for different things that exist. You can name it, they
Yep.
exist. But it is just do it consciously because no one that breathes do
Hmm.
it consciously. We just do it in automatic.
Yes. Yes. And that's the fascinating statistic, right? Which is each of us on an average, we take about 25,000 to 30,000 breaths.
Mhm.
None of us, well, I wouldn't say none, but like almost 95% up, right? Probably not aware of the number of breaths we take, right? Or even taking those deep breaths. I don't think any of us really pause to even think about it, right? And how much we're breathing, because most of us, we're always in this space, which is the fight or flight response. So our nervous system, right? It's always that sympathetic nervous system activated, fight or flight. That's all we're all doing. So it's such shallow breathing. So the whole importance of, I would say, in the traditional Indian yogic definition of pranayama, which is really in the Western world that has evolved to be called breath work and, different, I would say, evolutions of that breath work. But if I go back to the traditional Indian definition of pranayama, really what that Sanskrit word actually means is two parts, prana, yama. So prana means life force, also called as breath, because obviously without that, we're not here. Yama, again in Sanskrit, means the extension of that breath. Because when you do pranayama over time, you're really breathing all the way from your abdomen, right? So from the base of your spine, you're going all the way up. That is really how the yogis traditionally, thousands of years ago, that's how they used to breathe. And so that is really what pranayama is. Because today we're all just focused here. We're not even going all the way to get that deep breath and that extension. So when I talk about breath work or pranayama, there's several techniques to help us extend that breath, because we exercise a muscle called diaphragm, which is at the base of our lungs. So just like how we all go to the gym, we do all of these other things to stretch our hamstrings, our quads, do all of it. The diaphragm, most people don't know this, but again, is the most important muscle that helps us inhale and exhale, right? And that's how you increase your lung capacity over time. Most of us are not even using our lung capacity enough because we're not breathing deeply, right?
Yeah.
And over time, again, with age, we know the, health implications we can have, right? If you're not using your lungs as well as you should, and if you're not breathing in deeply and really connecting with that breath. So I feel it's all connected.
You're a coach in breath work. I would like to we talk about the benefits because there's a lot of benefits doing conscious breathing or breath work. So can we talk about that, please?
Sure, absolutely. I think, it's interesting you asked me this because I was working with, again, another client where they were going through very stressful situations in life. I mean, we all do, just different phases of life. And so they had felt like, they had lost their self-confidence, their self-esteem, due to several reasons, right? So what we did was we did a lot of breath work techniques. We worked on positive affirmations. We worked through, just some guided journaling, right? We worked through a lot of those. And you won't believe it, over, a couple of months through a lot of these sessions and just continued practice. Again, putting time, putting effort to practice is also important. But obviously, the individual was able to do all of it. And then in a couple of months, you will see there was a huge difference because the individual was unable to, find a job. It had been a while. So they were not able to go to interviews. They were not able to sell their story. They were not able to show that confidence, right? Over time, the individual actually got a job. And that was a big deal. It was a big deal from the individual's perspective in their journey of life, right? So that's just an example, but that just came to my mind because I feel when you talk about the importance of breath work, I mean, there's definitely, enough research, right? But calming your nervous system. And when you calm your nervous system, obviously that has an impact on your overall health, overall lifestyle, right? And overall how you look, how you feel, all of that. Because when you're in your calm state,
Yes, it's like just anxiety. You want to bring down your anxiety, and I do
yes,
this. I talk this a lot with my high schooler daughter and friends
yep.
that they live in anxiety, the high schoolers.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely. Yes,
just teaching them a technique of breathing, they will calm down and release that anxiety they are feeling, or depression,
exactly.
or whatever thoughts that they cannot get rid of.
Yep,
Breath work will bring them down so they
yes,
can achieve actually what they want. And you're very, very right.
yeah,
Breathing actually it will calm your nervous system, and that's all those emotions that we're talking about. That has to do with accelerated nerve system in a way.
exactly. Because if you're in constant, like I said, the fight or flight mode, you're constantly thinking about the next thing. You're constantly, worrying about something which probably is not even in your control in the first place. So I
Mm.
feel it's like this spiraling effect, right? Unfortunately, it's like this vicious cycle. And some people get stuck in it and they don't know how to get unstuck. And that's where I feel like grounding yourself back, coming back to basics, right? Just simple breath work, talking positive to yourself, to your mind, saying that you're worth it, say, all of those things. It's just so fascinating.
Something that is coming to my mind right now, it is when we meditate, in a way we get out of our conscience, our
Yep,
conscious body. So we're talking with our guides or talking with
mhm,
whatever it is, or traveling to places, or there are many beautiful things outside too.
of course.
The change that we want to create in our lives and transform is in
Yeah,
our body. It is not outside of our body.
exactly.
So these breathing techniques actually will bring you back where you can
Hmm.
change. Because outside, even if it feels wonderful,
Oh yeah.
we're not creating the lasting change that we need to.
Oh, absolutely. In the traditional, again, definition of yoga, right? Spiritually, again, there are 8 different definitions or how yoga was traditionally defined as 8 limbs, right? And each limb has a different meaning. But without getting into all of that detail, but really the final limb is all about that, which is enlightenment. Of course, that's a very deep word, right? But eventually we all have to connect within, because the reality is that's all we really have. Everybody else, every relationship we're all going to have is all temporary. I mean, that's really what the spiritual definition is, because it's really you, it's your soul, it's what you're going to do, what's your purpose, and what's the legacy you're going to leave behind. That's really what it is.
That is so true. So can you walk us through how do you work with people?
Sure.
If someone ask you for coaching, etc.
Sure.
How do you work with them? What
Absolutely. I think there's, multiple, I would say, categories that I work with people on, right? Definitely there are, I mean, there's a first I ask individuals or, clients to fill out a form just so I understand where they're coming from, what specifically they're looking for help on. So that way we can actually try and assess, I mean, if it's the right fit and whether, I mean, I'm able to help them, right? But there are different, I would say, ways that I help individuals. I work with them, again, on based on the need, but on breath work, or if it's affirmations, or if it's journaling, or is it reflection, or is it yoga? Do they feel like, they're not flexible enough? So maybe it's yoga. And then there are some people who are just stuck in their careers. They don't know how to go. Maybe they haven't, maybe it's their first job, or maybe they're individuals who are just in their jobs or early in their careers, but they don't know how to transition. They don't know what they're doing wrong. Or there are people I know who are stuck with bad managers, or they're stuck in bad teams, and that's causing a lot of stress, and they're not sure what to do, right? And they're getting into this state of maybe depression, but they're feeling like they're falling into the state where they're not able to figure out how to get unstuck, like I said before, right? So I feel like there's different, people that come with different concerns. So I always start with just having them fill out, some basic information, what's happening, what are they seeking out of this coaching, and what do they really want out of the coaching. I think that's really how I start. And then we kind of go from there by setting goals, and then we kind of break it down.
Thank you so much for that, because it is important to every single coach, every single healer, every single therapist, etc. Name it. We have our own ways and our own techniques, and that doesn't make us that we are cookie cutters. That not a big, even because you're a yoga teacher and all the yoga teachers are the same. They are not.
Yes.
Everybody works in a different way, in a different level with people.
Yep. Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. I think each of us bring a very unique strength, right? And we all look at things very differently. And I feel like, the world needs more unique perspectives. And I always see this as more of a collaboration. I mean, I work here with a lot of coaches where, I mean, I'm in fact going to be hosting an in-person workshop, right, in a couple of months. But I'm working with somebody else who is a yoga teacher, right? Because we both are going to collaborate and come up with this in-person workshop, because I'll be talking about breath work and this individual will talk about on go through a yoga session, etc. But I always feel like we all bring different energies and we bring different styles, and we're all unique. So I always see that the world needs more, so there is no competition, but I feel it's more about collaboration, because we always learn from each other. I learn so much from other teachers and vice versa. So I feel there's always something to offer.
Yes, that is so true. So in I know you mentioned before that you have a corporate job
Hmm.
and you have the holistic part.
Yes.
So that in that transition there is a lot of people where are,
Yeah.
because yes, you have to pay the bills, you have to do, the light is not free, Zoom is not free, etc.
Exactly.
So how do you work, how can you balance that part of you, that it is the corporate and you have bosses, etc., and things like that, and at the same time doing the holistic part?
Yep.
Because in there, yes, you get paid and so forth, but you put your hours, you're your boss in a way. And
Yes.
how you can balance both of them, because that's where many people or many coaches or healers or name it, what do they start doing is like, okay, I should not charge for that because this one I
Mm,
enjoy it and the other one I don't. So
mm.
how do you balance that part?
Again, I think we talked about, like, first I was telling you, right, about setting boundaries, because to me, that's always been important, right? And even when I did this before with younger children, and even when I was balancing them, all of that full time, the teaching work and all of that, or the classes, were on the weekends, right? So obviously I had kind of my work timing, split up between all of these priorities. And now, as I mentioned, at least my older one is in college, so it's a little different now. The kids are much older, so I feel like I get a lot more flexibility, at least from a timing perspective. But from a work perspective, I mean, the 8 9 hours, like, I'm at work, right? I mean, I try to just be present at work. And then, I just split some of my time later in the evenings, right? When I'm thinking about, like, coaching sessions or other parts of this work. Or, again, on the weekends, I try to find time where, I can kind of allocate time for this. It's a constant balance priority.
Let me rephrase my question
Sure.
because yes, my question is, to many people are thinking to let go the corporate world
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep.
and just going into the holistic what they really enjoy. So I know you're doing both right now,
Yes. Yes.
but that's where people are stuck right now. Many people that are listening to us, that's where they're stuck, and obviously they don't enjoy the corporate work.
Mm. Yep.
So ha-
That's a tough question, because for me, I think I enjoy both. So, so maybe that's a tough question, because I mean, again, I know people have asked me, "Hey, is there going to be a point when you're going to decide to transition, like, off corporate into this full time?" The answer is I don't know, right? Because right now, again, at this moment, I enjoy both. So I don't have a reason to think about, oh, do I pick one? But never say never, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you ask me 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now, I don't know where my mind space will be. But right now, my work, I enjoy doing that, and I enjoy the whole coaching and the wellness aspect of it, because it's part of my life. It's part of my lifestyle. So I kind of see it all as one. So for me right now, it's just hard to say which one I would pick. But if individuals are asking that question, or they're trying to figure out, hey, should I do this or should I do that? I would say everybody's situation is very different, right? Because for one, please make sure you assess your financial situation and you're able to leave a job to, go into coaching. Because I know a lot of people who do that full time, right? But there's no way you're going to compare your compensation. So it's completely different. So I
yes.
always like people to first think about what is it that they're going to leave on the table if they decide to make that switch. And if that's okay in their life, I mean, there is no reason, nothing's holding you back, right? I mean, absolutely. And so I think it's very subjective, because it's all about where you're coming from, what do you feel, your desire, and your situation just financially, and all of the other things that you need to worry about. If you don't
Exactly.
have any of it, awesome.
And not only that, guys, you have heard everything that she do, but let's add something else. Now she's a podcaster too. So, so I would like to talk about your podcast.
Yes, yes. I started my podcast about 4 months ago. I mean, it was a very interesting, suddenly on a weekend, I was just thinking, because, again, I think I mentioned this earlier. So I'm a health coach, right? And I'm also, like, again, been doing yoga and all of this for a long time. I suddenly sat there, I was just thinking, one weekend, wow, maybe I should share all of my knowledge with, people around me. And honestly, I did not know how to start a podcast. I just looked it up, and it was one day I just said, all right, I'm going to start this and we'll see where this journey goes. And honestly, that's how I started. And then a couple of sessions in, I thought it would be a great idea to bring in guest speakers who are wellness practitioners, because that way it's a win-win, because I get to learn a lot more, because again, we all know wellness is this huge ocean. I mean, it's I can never say I know all the topics, because there's so much to learn, right? And so I felt it was a great opportunity for somebody to be on the platform, also for me to be learning and expanding on my knowledge, right? So anyhow, that's how I started to bring guest speakers, and I've had over, oh boy, I think 3 or 4 international speakers and over 20 plus other speakers, and in 4 months we're already at like 350 plus subscribers.
What is the name of your podcast?
Oh, it's called Let's Talk Wellness with Shal, Shal. And you can find that on YouTube, Spotify, Apple.
Perfect. And so it is all about wellness, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And you're talking only about the physical side, or you're talking about also the internal side?
Everything. It's holistic wellness, right? Because I'm talking about, I mean, there have been topics on meditation, there's been topics on hypnotherapy, there's been topics on theta healing. So it's everything.
Perfect. That information is going to be down below this video, guys. This podcast, where you can also follow her in her podcast, and where you can find her too, and you can book an appointment with her. So you work online with people too, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I do work virtually with clients as well. And I mean, I'm happy to share my website where individuals can find more information. It's www.mindspacejourney.org.
Yes, it is going to be that information down below. You don't catch it right now, so you can look for that information in the description, and you're going to find that. So that is very, very interesting, and something that I have find about in podcasting. That's how many of us we started.
Mhm.
In my case, I started in the 2020 because I wanted to have I was having already interesting conversations with some friends that they're in New Zealand. And it's like, oh, people should be listening to this. This is very, very interesting.
Yep.
And that's how many of the podcasts born, and just trying to make the service
Yes, absolutely.
to others. And that is very, very interesting. Well, and how important it is for our viewers and for yourself to put more emphasis in the holistic world. It can be nutrition, it can be in your physical body, in doing different kinds of exercises, but at the same time, more in the holistic way now than before. Because
I,
before it was
yep.
just traditional.
I think it's just becoming even more important because we are all overwhelmed with information, right? So we we have way too much information. People don't know what's right, what's wrong, and also I feel like there's too much stress. I mean, just, whether that's corporate, whether that's life as a mom, or you're raising children, you're trying to juggle everything. So it's just stress in so many different forms. So I feel like holistic wellness is more and more important today than ever before, just because of the processing in the food. I mean, there's so many different, I don't know, examples of how previous generations, or even when I was growing up, or I'm sure when you were growing up, things were very different. I mean, food was not as processed. So there are so many challenges we see today that manifest in diseases, in other challenges because of nutrition. I mean, that is one of the most important things, right? But of course, there's also exercise, there's so many other things, and mental health, which is also becoming another important thing. So, I just feel like today, holistic wellness is so much more important than it was ever before.
That is so true. And we forgot that our ancestors, they used to heal with teas and with plants and with herbs and so forth.
Yep,
And now that is considered like, I don't know, but that's where all the medications came from.
exactly. Yep,
And those medications, if you take this medication, it's going to harm your liver, your kidneys, your something.
yep,
The
yep.
holistic part, it is, I'm studying herbalistic,
Nice.
and precisely I'm passionate about that because
Mhm.
there's a lot of medications that we can take in a natural way without
Yep,
harming anything.
exactly. Yep. Oh, totally. Yeah, I definitely believe that, again, I don't think we can see ourselves in like these blocks, right? That we are different at work, we are a different person at home, or we're different in a different place. I just feel like we have to blur all of those lines, and it really has to be a holistic lifestyle because each one feeds into the other. I mean, you can never be a great at work if you're emotionally completely disturbed at home, or you have, I don't know, other stressors at home. You're not going to show up well at work, and vice versa, right? Because if it's toxic at work, you're going to bring it on to your kids, you're going to bring it on to your spouse, you're going to bring it on to everybody else. So I just feel like this whole holistic part is so much important today, and people need to understand that it's a lifestyle choice. It's not one or the other.
That's so true. Oh my gosh, this has been a really, really my pleasure. Um, Shan, Shalini,
Yes,
Shal-
Shalini.
oh my
Shalini.
God, sorry for that
No
again.
worries.
It has been really, really my pleasure. And thank you so much for being in my podcast, Soul Talk. And thank you for all the viewers. If this episode actually helped you, please share it with your friends. It might be helping one of your friends too. Thank you so much. Don't forget to click like and subscribe and leave us a comment. I will appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. This is
Thank you.
Ramirez, the Warrior of Love.
Thank you.